Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto YAHAWAH, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachaha Kodash. I want to send double honor to the elders, apostles, and bishops at Great Millstone, who well, peace, love, and safety is to the hopeful elect out game out there doing this work. Much love to the scattered elect and to the few sincere women that subscribe to the true doctrine. This is the brother you call Amath with the Great Millstone Camp, the branch out here in Omaha, Nebraska. Coming back with another lesson we're willing to feed and to edify the lost sheep of the nation of Israel through the Holy Spirit, Raha Kodash. And the Israelites consist of the so-called Negroes, the so-called Hispanics, and the so-called Native Americans by the seed of your father, no matter what you may look like. And I want to get into this topic, man, through the Spirit, how the Most High have separated the sons of Adam, okay, which every nation upon the planet Earth, you came of Adam. All right. So even, if you're, the chosen tribe, which are the 12 tribes of Israel, okay, the so-called Negroes, so-called Hispanics, so-called Native Americans, all right, even down to Edom, the so-called white man, to the Moabites, which are the so-called Chinese, the Ammonites, which are the so-called Japanese, all right, you have the Arabs, which are the Ishmaelites, all these different nations that you can think of, they're all of the sons of Adam, okay? And via through the sons of Noah, through Shem, Ham, and Japheth, every nation upon the planet Earth comes through one of those lines. All right, now our line, we go through, we come from the line of Shem, all right, as well as Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. He comes from the line of Shem. But there was a break off where, who was our forefather, Eber, or Ibar, is where the separation came within Shem, okay? Because Esau, Edom, though he is of the line of Shem, his ways are diverse, okay? And that's what, when you go into that word Ibar, it means division. This is what the Most High did to separate us from these different nations, all right? And so then there's a few precepts that comes to mind. We're just going to get straight into it. I'm going to start here. And the matter of fact, I'll get that next. I want to get here in the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 33. Okay, where it goes into the Most High separating. The Most High is a master separator, and he does it for the right reasons. Okay, because a lot of these ways of living that these heathen nations carry on are not conducive unto the law, statutes, and commandments, and it's not conducive unto life. Like when you look in this day and age now, you have, I'll say primarily the Edomites. You got some Jakes that do it too now because of because of being influenced. They won't eat their meat all the way cooked through, specifically steak. Okay, now Esau Edom is, he takes it all the way left where he doesn't even, cook it. They have a plate. I don't even know if you can call it a plate, called steak tartare. Okay, where you just take a big ass chunk of ground beef, you barely even sear it. You put it in the pan, you flip it, for you put it in the pan for like maybe 3 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds, flip it over, do the same thing there, take it out of the pan, and then you put an egg in the middle of it with some garnishment. All right, and you see these Edomites sitting in their car recording themselves eating raw meat straight out of the store, and Jake look at that shit like, no, hell no. Even 2/3 in the world, for the most part, they don't. When they see that type of stuff, they're like, oh no, I'm not eating my food like that. And it's and it's because when a meat is not cooked through, it still has the life in it. All right, because the scriptures call the blood, the life, and we're not supposed to eat that. Okay, but yeah, let's get into it, man. And here we go. This is Sirach 33. And verse 10, it says, all men are from the ground, and Adam was created of earth. Okay? It says, in much knowledge, the Lord had divided them and made their ways diverse. Okay? So, Jake, we like to cook our food all the way through. All right? We're not eating no bloody dripping piece of meat, man. Unless you're just a chocolate covered Edomite. All right? Which is for those of you that may not know that term, which is a Edomite that has the appearance of an Israelite. All right. It says, some of them have he blessed and exalted. All right. And who did he bless and exalt? The nation of Israel. Okay. And how do we prove that? All right. We go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4 and verse 6, which says, let's start at 5. It says, behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord Yahawah my power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither you go to possess it. Now one that may just read this and say, well, that's not talking about Israel. It just says that I taught you statutes and judgments. That could be anybody. Well, that could be proven in the book of Psalms, the 147th chapter, in the 18th and 19th verse, where it speaks about the Most High gave law, statutes, and commandments unto Israel, and he had not dealt so with any nation. Okay, so this is the people that is talking about here in Deuteronomy as well, right? Now, continuing on, it says in verse 6, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, who hath the Most High so nigh unto them, as the Lord Yahawah our power is in all things that we call upon him for? So he blessed us and put him near himself. Okay, and we're exalted because we know the covenant that was made by blood was given unto the nation of Israel. All right, when our forefathers were coming out of the land of Egypt, who was the law, statutes, and commandments given to make them a great people? It was given to the nation of Israel. All right. So going back into this Sirach 33 and verse 12, it says, some of them hath he blessed and exalted, and some of them hath he sanctified, which sanctify means to make holy. And what makes us holy is the law, statutes, and commandments that was given unto us. You know, now in this day and age, we can't keep it all the way perfect. Okay, which is why we're under a grace period right now, right? Because we're in the land of our captivity. As the Apostle Gabar mentioned, this is a den of iniquity. So it's damn near impossible to keep the law, statutes, and commandments perfect in this place. Okay, and what the book of Sirach says? It says, thou walkest in the peril of thy overthrowing. When thou hear these words, wake out of thy sleep. Is to know that we're in a land that that thrives off of wickedness, that thrives off of sin. All right, that folly, that's set in great dignity. So by our by the sacrifice that Yahawashi made, this is how we are set nigh to set nigh to the Heavenly Father Yahawah, whom this world ignorantly calls God. But let's read on. It says, and set near himself, but some of them hath he cursed and brought low and turned out of their places, which is these heathen nations, starting with the top enemy of the Israelites and of Yahweh Shema Shai, which is Esau, Edom. No, this is why he's all over the world, pillaging people, bombing people. As it says in Genesis, he would be a vagabond upon the earth. Just going and he's a violent murderer, and a vain person, man. And this is that, and you see he's the basis of men. Just look at his character, man. All he knows is violence. All he knows is pillaging. All right. What does it say in the book of, I believe it's the book of St. John, where it says the thief cometh not for to steal and to kill. Okay. St. John chapter 10 and verse 10, it says, the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. And that's what's in Esau's tabernacles. Okay. Is robbery, okay, and unaliving people and just being a straight up demon in the earth, right? As the book of Thessalonians calls him, 2 Thessalonians specifically calls him the son of perdition, which is the son of destruction. Okay, so this is the same man that the Most High, as it says in Sirach, have cursed and brought low and turned out of their places. And what was another curse? When you go into the book of Genesis, that mark that was set upon him. Okay, that mark of Cain, which was what? That leprosy. Because of when he unalived his brother Abel. you know, then that mark was set upon him. And he said, what was said? Let's get that actually. The mark, anyone that toucheth, I forget how it's worded specifically. I spelled that wrong. So okay, I think it's Genesis, the 4th chapter. Yep, Genesis, the 4th chapter. But I want to get onto the point. Yeah, here we go. Right. I'm just going to get straight to the point. This is Genesis chapter 4 and verse 15. And the Lord Yahawah said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord Yahawah set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. So, you know, but now we know in this day and age that mark is being lifted. Okay. Or is it, you know, because that Yahweh Shema Shai is about to put judgment on him. He's about to put judgment on them by who? The nation of Israel. Also by the holy angels and the Lord Yahweh Shai. Okay? So, you know, this is the mark that was set upon Cain. And, you know, as mentioned, it says that he's a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. Okay? So Esau Edom is a cursed being, man. All right? He's a clean leper, but he's a cursed being overall. All right? So now, let's get back into the Apocrypha, because I want to get into a couple more scriptures before I close it out. I believe it's 2nd Ezra 3. Let me make sure. I tend to get 3 and 6 mixed up. It may be in 6. Yeah, I think it's in 6. Towards the end. Yep, here we go. This is the book of 2nd Ezra 6 and verse 54. It says, and after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all, right? All humanity, all right? And the people also whom thou hast chosen, which is who? The nation of Israel. This is who the Lord had chosen, right? As it says, I believe it's in, I believe I read it. It's another one in Deuteronomy 7 and 6. Yep, this is Deuteronomy 7 verse 6. It says, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord Yahweh thy power. The Lord Yahweh thy power have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So this is talking about Israel. All right. Further proof, then we're going to get back to it. This is the book of Isaiah 44, verse 1. Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. All right, so further proof that this, you know, these precepts are lining up to where Jacob is the chosen. Going back to Sirach, not Sirach, 2nd Ezra, chapter 6. And back in verse 54, it says, after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures. Of him come we all, and the people whom thou hast chosen. All right. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. As for the other people, the heathens, non-Israelites, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. And you know, so pretty much the Most High, he regards these heathens as nothing, man. Especially Esau Edom. Okay, look at the torture and the bloodshed he's brought upon the nation of Israel. Okay, I believe it's in the book of Zechariah where it says that I was angry with my people, but yet he forwarded the affliction. Okay, and Esau has a very violent background towards the nation of Israel. Okay, and call Allah Yahweh Shai 1144. I was wroth, but a little. Okay. but a little. It's like if I just put in forward, right? Forward the affliction. So this is boom, 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 boom. Yep, Zechariah chapter 1, verse 15. It says, "And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease," the Edomites. Okay, they're at ease. They have all the heart can wish. They have the wealth of the world. All right. It says, "For I was but a little displeased." Right? With who? The nation of Israel. He was a little displeased with us. Why? Because of our idol worshiping, our going off, our rebellion. YAHAWAH al-Shai wasn't pleased with us. But it says what? "For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction." All right. So, you know, and these other nations, they had a role to play in Jacob's captivity as well. All these different nations, all these heathen nations, it's in the scriptures. Okay, that, you know, they had Israel in captivity, and they did whatever they wanted to with us. Okay, so, you know, none of these nations are gonna be scot-free. All right, but, you know, the point of this whole lesson is, you know, I'm kind of deviating. You know, is how the Most High separated us. He made us a special people. You know, so to the Israelites out there, whether you know that you're Israelite, you know, you're a Christian or whatever you call yourself, just know that these heathens, they're not going to receive salvation. Only the nation of Israel can receive the salvation. All right. Let's get this precept before it gets too far away from me. In the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 8. All right, because this is the whole purpose of this lesson. It says, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to get straight to it. This is Deuteronomy 32 and 8. It says, "When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance," right? Because every nation of people had their own inheritance, had their own land, you know. And this is how the Most High separated us. You know, we weren't meant to dwell together. We weren't meant to dwell with these heathen nations, man. All right. It says, "When he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel." Why? "For the Lord Yahweh's portion is his people. Jacob is a lot of his inheritance." So he put these other nations to the side. Okay, and like I said, like we just read in Second Ezra, he said all these nations they should be counted as spittle. Okay, and in the book of Isaiah it says that they're as the drop of a bucket. You know, which is to be counting for nothing. So if you have a big bucket of water, you know, somebody bump you and, you know, drop splash out, you ain't gonna be like, "Oh, damn, man, I gotta go." You're gonna keep on going like, "No, I'm good. I still got what I need." You know, I ain't worried about that. That's how the Most High looks at these nations. Okay? Let's finish this. Second Ezra chapter 6. And, yep, I should have waited. You know, I thought it was in Isaiah. Actually, it's right here in Second Ezra 6 and 56. Okay? It says, 55. It says, "All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. And as for the other people which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and hast likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. And now, O Lord, behold, these heathen which have ever been reputed as nothing have begun to be lords over us and to devour us." Right? And this is why we're in our current captivity. We have no power. All right? We have no power here upon earth. All we have is YAHAWAH al-Shai. We have the brotherhood, of course, but all we have is the name. You know, we have the prophecies. We have the things needful to show us who we are and what's coming for us and what's coming to this world for the sake of Israel, because it says he made the world for our sakes. So the things that are going to happen unto this, the people in this place and all throughout the world, all right, which is going to be, well, now I won't say all throughout the world, because there are certain places that will survive this thermonuclear destruction, all right. But there's going to be there's going to be a mass killing, be it through the Heavenly Father, whom this world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And what proves that is the book of Isaiah, where it says the slain of the Lord shall be many. He's going to do that for the nation of Israel, but, you know, mainly the elect, but for Israel as a whole. Okay, because we're going to be set in our set up in a righteous kingdom that's going to last forever. right? That kingdom's not going to be destroyed. But let's finish this precept. It says, "But we thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, the only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into thy hands." Right? If the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure? And it's, we're coming to the end. Okay, to where, we are enduring, right? Which enduring means to make hard. We're gonna suffer. We're gonna be, knowing that we're the chosen people. Yeah, of course we want more, but this ain't the time right now. Our time is coming. All right, and there's going to be a true, though there's a separation now, there's going to be a true separation in the kingdom. When these heathens ain't going to be dwelling amongst the Israelites. All right, maybe you might have we had some concubines, or we have some slaves, but y'all ain't going to be, your inheritance is not going to be amongst Israel. All right, whatever you get, whatever we give you. All right, and you're not going to be able to step foot in our land without any permission. All right, or or there's going to be a thrashing that comes with that. All right. But yeah, that's pretty much the lesson, man. Just wanted to get into how the Most High separated us, and these heathen nations ain't gonna receive salvation. Not the salvation that's coming to Babylon the Great for the Israelites. Okay, for the elect. All right. So with that being said, I pray that this was an edifying lesson. And I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahahakudash. Double honor to the elders, apostles, and bishops at Great Millstone. Peace, love, and safety is to the hopeful elect Akim out there. Shalom.